Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weekly Rock. It is Friday, June 19th, 2020. We're really glad you're here with us. For those of you that are going to join us via Instagram, thank you so much. What's up, Scotty? How you doing, my man? Those of you that join us on Facebook, we're so glad that you're here. Thank you for being with us over on YouTube. Make sure and stay with us. Chime in there. Throw a couple comments there if you would like. We would love to see you there. I appreciate it over there. For those of you on Instagram, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Nice to see you too. Thank you so much for the encouragement and appreciation. Low key, dude, a lot of this wouldn't happen if it wasn't for you. Those messages you were sending me back in the early days of Lightspeed when you were hitting me up and telling me that you thought it looked good and you liked it, that kept me going. So I appreciate it. Feel free to stick around if you want or hop off, but I'm glad you joined us today. Let me know if there's everything I can do to help you. So today, a couple things I want to chat about. So number one is this. Today is not a national holiday. Although I'm going to advocate that today should be a national holiday. So if you don't like that, then this may not be a place for you, but I still like you. But I want you to know that because I think that it should be. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I am only as educated as my Instagram post and my ability to go in and read information about Juneteenth. And what it really means and where it is. And I'm not even going to attempt to be a person to educate you on that. You can go check out my stories. We have things, if not yet, we're for sure posting in there today about Juneteenth and the history of it and what it means and why it's involved and why I believe it should be a national holiday for something significant to what we are doing here in America. And so that being said, I just wanted to make sure I took some time and I wanted to acknowledge that. And I wanted to say, that I think it's worth, if it's unfamiliar to you and you don't know, go read about it. Go find some folks who are posting about it. Check out their stories. Look at the information. Look at the history. I think it's good. I think it's valuable. And I think that today it would be amiss for us to take some time going live and have a dialogue with each other where we weren't willing to first acknowledge what today is, and today is Juneteenth. And I think it is an opportunity for us to create a wonderful celebration. And if nothing else, for those of you that those of you that look like me, today's a good day to support Black business, whether that's a restaurant, whether that's an author, whether that's a book, whether that's a podcast, whether that's a store, whatever it is. Today's a good day to do that. And if nothing else, today's an even better day to start if you haven't yet. So I want to encourage you in that way. I want to challenge you in that way. And if it feels unknown and you're unsure and you're not even sure what it means, before you get mad and before you get defensive, look it up. There's a lot of things in your life that you'll look at and you read because you want to know about it. And so, I'd encourage you to go do that. I'd encourage you to look at it. I'd encourage you to check it out. See what it is, see what it means, and see what you can do to continue to be an advocate for Black lives, as well as making sure that we are doing the work to be anti-racist. So today, our dialogue or our conversation, hey, thank you so much over there on Instagram. I appreciate that, Scotty. Thanks so much. I appreciate your encouragement, especially about that. It took a lot of work and energy to get there. And you see a lot of Lightspeed systems. So the fact that you look at it and you think that it looks good and you like it, I mean, that means a lot to me. So today our topic is called Facing Fear. Okay, I want you to write that down. If you're a note taker or if you're driving, you're listening, you got your AirPods in or whatever that is, don't write, don't take notes. But if you're locked up in the office at home and you got your computer on because you're having your lunch right now, I'm not offended by your lunch, so feel free and enjoy your lunch with us. But today's topic is I want to talk about, and it's just titled Facing Fear. Okay. And so I think in order for us to do that, in order for us to face fear, it requires for us first to acknowledge fear, to acknowledge the areas of our life where there is potentially fear that is keeping us or holding us back or stopping us, that there is something for us that we have a desire that we want to lean into, we want to push into, something that has maybe caused an apprehension in our life, something that has forced us to be in a position where we have not yet done the work or being willing. And when I say willing, maybe it's not necessarily conscious that we're trying to get away from it, as much as maybe we just haven't stopped long enough to address what is that fear. Now I use the word fear, and I think fear is probably one of the most root aspects of what that is. Okay. I think when I say fear, fear is at the kind of the, when I say bottom has a negative connotation. So I don't mean it that way. It is the most foundational, I think, part of what it is. And so I kind of want to work our way up the funnel just for a second, because I think it'll help some of us in our dialogue as we think about fear and think about facing fear and what it means, and then kind of how we're going to work back down into that. But, I think if you think fear, I think one thing you can do is you can kind of jump up a layer, and another word for fear I would call pride. I think pride is just a manifestation of fear. I think pride, I think at some point in the journey, pride lost, at least for me, and I think the way I see it in a lot of people, pride lost the part that was being proud, like standing honorably with your chest lifted high in confidence. And that took a turn. I think there was a moment, so I apologize for the analogy. I'm feeling fired up today. But I think there's a part of that where like there was a moment where being proud went out and had a drink with arrogance, and the two of them got together and they created pride. Like that's kind of how I see it coming together. Like there's a way to be proud and to say, I'm a proud father. I'm proud of my effort and my energy, but that doesn't turn itself into arrogance for me to tell other fathers they are bad because I'm better than they are. And that's to me where being proud turns into pride. Okay. And so, and I think even say, let's peel back for a second because we've already been in it. So we might as well stay in it. Maybe there's a lot of us who go, no, I'm just proud to be an American. And I would say, or maybe are you just prideful to be an American? I don't know. I can't answer that for you, but I think it's a pretty good question for you to ask yourself, right? Have you transitioned from the honor that you believe that gets carried by being in a place where we have freedoms, some of us, and transition that into a place that says, I'm not proud to be an American. I have pride in my being American. And pride is based on fear, and my fear is that something's going to be taken away from me. And if I give what I have to somebody else, does that mean I have none left? And therefore, maybe the whole song we're singing is wrong. Maybe, in fact, we're not proud to be Americans. Maybe we have pride in being an American because we have fear. And I think many of us right now are in a position where we're asking ourselves, are we willing to do the work to face that fear? Are we willing to push in and face fear? I think it's something we all have to address. I think it's something we all have to ask. I think it's something we all have to be aware of. And so, I want us to think about that for ourselves. So we have fear, then we go up in pride. I think that's kind of a layer up. I think we even go a layer up after that, or maybe in that same vein, right? We have arrogance. We have, I think at times we have insecurity. I think at times we have unknown. I think at times we have uncertainty. I think at times we have, right? Like you kind of get the gist. Like we have this language that we use that I think what happens is those words kind of get all muddied together. They get muddied together, and those things turn into fear. They inevitably turn into a place where we get paralyzed. They turn into a place where we go, I don't know what to do, and I don't know what's happening. And we've already created the story. We've already created a narrative as to why. Here's the 15 reasons I'm justified in my fear. Here's the 15 reasons why I'm justified in my insecurity. Here's the 15 reasons why I'm right, you're wrong. You figure it out. It's not my job. And when you do, you come back to me and then I'll make it right. I'm guilty of it. I'm with you. By no means am I attempting to say I have it all figured out and it doesn't happen to me. That's insane. No way that's the case. But what I'm saying is based on where we are now, and I think there's multiple ways that you can look at it, right? I think there's multiple. Hey, friends on Instagram, thanks for joining us. I think there's a lot of ways that you can look at it, right? I think you can look at it and go, let's think about your professional life. Those of you that are small business owners or entrepreneurs, or potentially even that maybe you had the option to be furloughed and you said no, but now it's on the table again. Or think about your professional life. Where is there fear? And before we even go to that fear, what are the other things that are involved with that? Think about your personal life. What are some of those things in your personal life where you feel like fear has been manifested? Where fear is the thing that is driving you. Fear is the thing that is either keeping you at bay and keeping you from engaging, or it is potentially the thing that I think as we get through some of these questions here in a minute can actually create motivation in us. There's some things that can create good work in us. There's some things that can push us in a specific direction. But if we're not willing to stop long enough to acknowledge where that is and where it comes from, we're not going to do anything about it. Me either. I'm not knocking you or blaming you. I'm saying we're literally not ever going to do anything about it. Because we live in this state of paralysis that says, because of this thing, this fear, this thought, this person, this unknown, I don't know what to do and I don't know if I can. And the reality is I think for many of us, we haven't stopped long enough to go, what is that? I mean, I got folks who are here now with us that are watching. That know you were fearful for a long time and you had the same job and you made the decision, I'm out. I'm out because I believe there's something different and better for me. And here we go. Game on. There's friends on here who I know are small business owners who have pivoted and shifted and things are different and they're not the way they were before. And you're doing it. And you're doing it because you're finally acknowledging what is happening, what the fear was, and then what the truth and the clarity is in that moving forward. Does that make sense? And so I want us to start by going, okay, well, how do I begin to see, or how do I begin to acknowledge that fear? Where does that fear come from? What is that fear that I'm looking at that is potentially keeping me at bay and not allowing me to really fully engage in the things I really want to do? And I think if we can acknowledge and at least identify the fear, we can begin to put some practical steps and to go, what decisions do I want to make moving forward? And look, I'm with you, like, and to be, in full transparency, like, man, this week I've had a lot of hard conversations this week in my own life, in my personal life, and in business with coaching clients and other, like, I've had a lot of difficult conversations. Some that were easier than others to have because it was like, oh, it's my job. I'll just say whatever I want and do it. Nobody cares. And other ones that feel a little more difficult because they're people that I really love and people that I really care about in my life that I have kind of had to dig deep and go, do I really believe what I say I believe? And if so, am I really willing to push into that? Am I willing to have that dialogue? Am I willing to have that conversation? Am I willing to ask that question? Am I willing to put myself out there knowing that at the end of the day, this isn't about me or my survival? It's about me asking myself, am I willing to engage? Am I willing to do that? Am I willing to do what is required for me to look in the mirror and simultaneously face my fear so that I can have the effort or energy that's required to then push forward in that? So that's enough of an intro. Question number 1. Today, specifically today, what is that fear for you? Typically today, right now, today, specifically, not typically, specifically, what is that fear? What is one thing for you that you would say, hey, this is a fear I have in my life right now? It may be a conversation, it may be a moment, it may be a decision, it may be something massive and significant. It may be a dialogue you're having with yourself. And you're just afraid that if you actually looked in the mirror and love what you saw, you're unsure of what you would do. That's fair. I'm not knocking you. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I think that's fair. So what is that? Today specifically, what is a fear that you have? I want you to write it down. Or if you're willing, I want you to chat it. Throw it in the chat box. Comment on Facebook or Instagram. We'll be able to see it, have a dialogue. Those of you that are on Instagram that are watching, if you want, throw it in there. We can chat. Those of you on Instagram, if you're feeling really crazy today and you really want to get wild and you want to go live together, I'll bring you in here. We can chat. We can have a real dialogue face to face. Our Facebook friends, we'll put the microphone close to it. They can hear it. Everything's still working. We got to keep up with that awkward pause, friends. Okay, so that little bit of delay is for you to hear it, so I can wait for your response, just so you know. Those of you that are also joining us and you're hitting this on the replay, make sure and comment #replay. We can go back and hit your comments for you. Scotty, tell me about that. The fear you have today is judgment. Judgment of what? Judgment of what? What are you afraid that you're going to be judged about? Anybody else who's on Instagram, what are you thinking? Looking at today, what is one fear you have today? And know that recognizing a fear in ourselves doesn't mean that we're bad or wrong or that somehow we're going to have a terrible day or we're bad people. I'm just trying to have a dialogue about really what's going on in your brain that you're not talking to anybody else about. Theoretically, maybe you are. I don't know. All I'm saying is I want us to be in a position that we're willing to do that or say that or have that kind of dialogue. So for you, what is it? Those of you on Facebook that are watching with us, what is a fear that you have today? Throw it there in the comment box. Some reason, some way, somehow you showed up to this dialogue today. I don't want to lose sight of that. I'm not telling you that I have all the answers. I'm not telling you I have any answers for you. But you're in a place now, our number one intent and our goal is to create a safe place that you can show up and have a conversation and share a part of what's happening to you. And again, let's use Scotty as an example. There is no judgment. I'm not here to judge you and tell you that you're wrong or you're bad or that your fears are invalid or you can't feel the way that you feel. If anything, I just want to hold space and give you a chance to say it, because sometimes we just got to get off our chest. So what is that? There we go. Scotty says, he said judgment was his comment earlier, and now he said what others think, looking or sounding dumb and not knowing something. I feel that. I feel that in my bones, bro. But here's the thing that I want you to know. And chime in anytime you want to, Scotty. If you're feeling frisky and you want to go live and you want to chat face to face, we absolutely can. If not, we can keep doing this. No harm, no foul. But think about how much energy you're expending in your brain trying to think about what others think and what they're going to think about what you do or say. And then that you're not going to know something that you assume that they think you should know. They haven't even said that they know it. They haven't even said that they expect you to know it. You've already made the assumption that you're supposed to know something that they think you're supposed to know. And then if you don't, you're going to be judged for it because you're going to look dumb, when in fact you had no idea that's actually what they were thinking. And I know it sounds silly when I say it out loud. That's why I'm saying it out loud. Do you see how crazy that sounds when we say it out loud? That doesn't mean it's not valid. And that doesn't mean it's not really where you are. All I'm saying is, do you hear when I say it out loud that you're afraid of being judged for something that you had no idea was even a bar to be held that you were supposed to meet? You know what I mean? Like, that's impossible. And you're setting yourself up to not even have the ability to show up and just be you, because then what is somebody else going to think? What are they going to do? What are they going to? It's crazy. Real. It's very real. I know it feels very real. But you and I both know that that's not something that is sustainable. That's not something that's not something that we can consistently or always do. Like, you got to be able to take a step back. Hey, Grace. Hey, Erica. Hey, Brian. You got to be able to take a step back in that space and go, okay, is the fear that is driving me, is the fear in my decision-making, is the fear based on reality? Or is the fear based on the fact that I may just not know something that somebody else expects because I haven't actually pushed into it? And so we live reactively, we don't live actively. Does that make sense? I'm going to use Kate's example as well, because I think it probably resonates for many of us here. She said that I'm afraid that I might not be moving in the most right direction for my life and career. But here's the thing. I think that fear, when boiled down, is actually just the fear that I may not be living up to someone else's expectation for my life or my career. Okay, so I want to say that for a second, because those of you that are listening, they're joining us. I want you to think about that for a second. I'm going to read it to you again. Okay, I'm going to read it to you again because I want to see if it really, really deeply resonates with you. Here's what she says. She says, I'm afraid that I might not be moving in the most right direction for my life and my career. But here's the thing. So fear number one says this. Fear says, I may not be moving in the most right direction. You notice, here's what she said. Here's what you said. And I know you know this. She didn't say that I'm afraid I'm not moving in the right direction. She said, I'm afraid I'm not moving in the most right direction. So now there's a kind of right and a most right. Most right sounds like a place I'm not trying to get to. Well, maybe I'm trying to get to, but I don't want to. She said the most right place for my life and my career. But here's the thing. I think that fear, when boiled down, is actually the fear that I may not be living up to somebody else's expectation of my life or my career. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. Give a thumbs up or a hey or a yes or something in these. And so I know that you're here with me. A little heart. I'm not sure exactly. I can't remember how Instagram works. I think if you like something, a little ting ting will pop up and I can see it. But if you've ever been in a position, there it is. I saw one. Good. If you've ever been in a position where you've thought maybe fear is keeping me from doing something because I'm afraid I'm not going in the direction I really feel like I'm supposed to be going, and I'm not going in the direction I feel like I'm supposed to be going because it's not the most right, because I might let somebody else down who has an expectation that's not me. Doesn't that make you tired? Like, doesn't that make you want to take a deep breath and be like, what am I saying out loud? What am I doing? It does me. I mean, I have to ask myself the same question. So it's, again, we're all in the same boat together, but there's a part of that that's like, who are we trying to please? And why are we letting that fear dictate the direction we believe we could or should or supposed to go? Yeah, exhausted. There it is. That's exactly right. That's how it makes us feel. Now here's it's a perfect segue. Okay, I segued, but I didn't realize that I segued. And so thank you, Kate, for segueing for us. So we talked about fear. We talked about identifying what our fear is. Right now, what our fear. For those of you that just joined us, that's our number one. That's our question we're asking right now. If today you had to identify a fear in your life, what is that fear? And so I think in that, knowing that fear, there's 3 questions that I want you to answer. Okay, the 3 questions are this: what do you feel? So you can write these down. The 3 questions are this: what do you feel right now, based on that fear? How does it make you feel? Kate had a great transition. She said it made us feel exhausted. Step number 2 is, question 2 is, based on that feeling, what do you need? What do you need? Question 1, how do you feel? Question 2, what do you need? Question 3, what can you do about it right now? Okay. Question 1, how do you feel? We'll throw that up here for you in just a second. Question 1, how do you feel? Question 2, what do you need? And question 3, what can you do right now to move forward and face that fear? Based on how you feel and based on what you need. What is an action step you can take right now? Okay. So I want you to think about it for a second. For those of you that want to chime in, you can, in your comments, you can just put 1, 2, and 3, or you can just throw them in here and we'll decipher. Number 1, how do you feel? Number 2, what do you need? Number 3, what can you do now knowing that? Think about those 3 things. Think about those 3 things. And Scotty, if you're still on here when we get to that part, you and me can go live together. We can chat about them. You can share your answers live back and forth, and me and you can have a quick discussion about it. Number 1, how do you feel? Number 2, what do you need? And then 3, what is something you can do today based on that fear? Okay, based on that fear. So Scotty, yours was judgment, looking dumb, feeling dumb, and not meeting someone's expectation. So based on that fear, how does that make you feel? Based on that feeling, what do you need? What is something you can identify you need? And then 3, what is it that you can do now to push forward in that? So think about it. Take a couple minutes, write it down, put it in your brain, whatever makes sense to you. All right, Scott, if you're ready, let's do this. Let's try it. I'm gonna add you. Let's see what happens. There he is.
What's up, man?
My man.
Been a while.
How you doing?
Doing great.
Good.
Things are moving.
All right. Let's talk about these.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So we said right now the fear, potentially today, a fear that you're facing is judgment. Then the way that you describe that judgment, I'm going to throw it up here so I can make sure that I read it for verbatim. What others think, looking or sounding dumb, and then potentially not knowing something. And so when we don't know something, we look dumb, we sound dumb, and what others might think, then judgment comes because we didn't fulfill some expectation.
Exactly.
Okay. So tell me then, based on that fear, how does that make you feel?
Most of the time, it makes me feel like anxious inside, which then creates like the fear of like not taking action, as you were talking about earlier, the paralyzed phase.
Yeah. Anxiety. It spurs anxiety. Anxiety spurs the inability to act, or we can refer to that as like paralysis, right? It causes us to like lock up, freeze up. Oh man, what do I do now? Okay. Yeah. So we have identified fear, judgment. We've flushed that out to going what others think and not meeting their expectation. We've taken another step to then go, okay, so let's really get to the root of that and go, how does that make me feel when I know I'm in that, when I'm living in that place of fear? How does it make me feel? It makes me feel anxious. It makes me feel like that. And I even loved when you said it, you did like the physical expression, you know, and you're like, yeah, you were like it makes me feel like I want to, right. Okay. And so, and that lends itself to anxiety, and then the feeling of like paralysis, like I don't know what to do. That makes us lock up. So in that moment, when that's the thing that we're able to recognize, if I could ask you, if every time that occurred, I could be right next to you and I could say, okay, based on that, what do you need right now? What do you need? What do you say?
The first thing that comes to mind is that, like, I guess, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So something that would make me, like, you know, feel that or have consciousness, bring it to the front, like, just realize that, you know what, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, whatever I'm about to do, unless it's, like, going to kill me or something, like, it really doesn't matter. The phone call I'm about to make, or the cold walk-in, the knock on the door in sales, you know, that type of stuff. Regardless of the outcome, nothing happened to, like, me, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So,
and in the moment that isn't there, like, I know that right now as we're having the face-to-face, but then the moments, you know, some days I will be paralyzed to make my cold calls. Like, you know, because I'm like,
okay.
Work is, you know, just get through the day, you know?
Yeah, okay. So in that paralysis, then what's missing? So like the on the other end of what's missing is the ability to go, it doesn't matter. It's fine. That what you just told me you needed was the result. So I don't want to hear about the result because we know what the result could be. That's if we could remove fear, we get the result we want. That's normal. What I'm saying is in the midst of that fear, give me a word, a description, or something that you would say when I feel paralyzed, when I feel anxious, man, in that moment, I just need some.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I mean, the first word that came was like love.
Yeah, now we're getting somewhere.
That was the first word that popped in my head, I guess, was like love.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're gonna go with that. So you're saying how it makes you feel as anxious and paralyzed, but what you recognize you need in that moment, and you said the first word that comes to my mind is love.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna flush that out, and you can nod in agreement, or you can stop me and tell me to stop talking if I go off base. Okay. But what I hear you saying is, in that moment, I need love because I want to be reminded that I am valuable, that I am worthy, that I am cared for. And even in the midst of being anxious and not being able to do the thing I think I'm supposed to, I don't want to let fear and fear of judgment to stop me from actually doing the things I think I was made and created and designed for. And to be reminded that I am loved, I am cared for, and I am not alone is going to give me the courage to take the actual step that I need in order to move forward and do the thing I really want to do.
That's like fucking spot on, bro.
Let's go, Scotty. Yeah. Yes. Now here's why this is important important for you. I think if you're watching, we're gonna and Scotty, when we get done at the end, we'll prove this and make you that you're cool with it. But like, I want to take this cut of just me and you talking, and we're gonna publish it and put it someplace, because here's what I think is important for all of us as human beings. Specifically those, and just you and I, because I'm so glad you were willing, like you and me as dudes, and I know I'm about to make some real huge generalizations, but like, you know, you can space and grace, right? That's what we say around here. Just give me a little bit of both of those. But like, how many times, and I'm gonna talk specifically to all of them, I'm gonna say all of us, and then dudes, because I know you've already disregarded because you heard the word love and you clicked off and you stopped watching it live. So when you come back and you watch this later, here's what's important for you. If we are unwilling to pause just like this, even if it's something that feels as silly as an Instagram live, if we're not willing to pause to go, what is the fear and what does it mean and how does it make me feel? And then to really dive in to go, what do I need? Like, we never address the root thing. It's like, you know what? I'm going to make it even more simplified. You know what you need? You need some just general space and accountability to have some people reach out to you regularly and say, hey, dude, just wanted you to know I love you. I'm proud of you, and keep it up. But like, as dudes, like, that's never our default response. Is like, I wish my boy would just hit me up with a text that says I love you, right? Because we're like,
I do that to my boys.
Okay.
I have some close homies that, you know, I personally reach out to.
Right,
Sure.
But I think because we're not willing to talk, because for the most part we don't talk about it openly, inevitably we create relationships that we say there's not a willingness or an ability to have that kind of dialogue, because in the midst of fear and anxiety and frustration and all of those things, we don't allow ourselves to go, honestly, maybe I'm fearful because I don't think I'm good enough, and I don't think I'm good enough because I just wonder if somebody loves me. because it feels like that's silly or dumb, or it's like too elementary, and I think there are, I was going to say millions, but which I guess is relative because there are millions of people in the world. So, but that was going to be a dramatic statement. I think there are many of us who at times are unwilling to allow ourselves to get to a place to go, man, maybe if I could look in the mirror and love myself as much as I hoped other people would love me, then maybe when I look in the mirror, I might actually see the thing that I really hoped other people would see in me. As opposed to trying to hope that my reflection in the mirror is based on, I think to go with the analogy, it's almost like we hope we look in a two-way mirror. Like we reflect back ourselves, but the people on the other side get to see the real us, right? This is a silly example, but there's a bowling alley / restaurant here in Dallas. And in the men's restroom, where the urinals are, which I know this is funny, but go with me, where the urinals are, it's just a wall, like a skinny wall of mirrors. But that mirror is a two-way mirror. So like you see yourself and people can't see you, right? People can't see you, but when you're peeing, you look out at the bar. Like you're the bartender and you're looking at everybody, right? Which I think is hilarious. I think it's genius.
That's cool.
But I think a lot of times that's how we feel. Like I think a lot of times that's how we feel about ourselves when we're reflecting it, is that people are only assuming that they see what they want, but they don't ever actually get the real reflection of us. So here's my last. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think for me personally, I know exactly what you're saying, because in certain situations I'll try to act a certain way so that they see me that certain way, because that's the way that I want people to see me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of way.
Yep. Yeah. As opposed to, and again, let's just use an example that's where you're at, because it's something we can both relate to. Like, Brad doesn't walk into a room hoping people are going to see something in him that he doesn't see in himself, and then when they say that about him, that he's confident, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
I mean, that he's never not guns a blazing everywhere all the time.
Everywhere he goes, yes, sir.
And and that creates a polarity. Like there are some people who love it, and some people they're like, I don't want to talk to that guy. And on both of those scenarios, I think his response would be, okay, that's okay, right? Absolutely. And so like. And I think that's because it's been a long period. Let's just chalk it up that he's older and wiser because he's older. I don't know how old he is. I just know he's older than me, so I'm always going to say he's older, right? Like, let's chalk it up to like he's just at a place where he's going, man, that's just not the thing that I'm longing to see or find anymore. So, last question, and I'll let you go. So we know the fear, we know the feeling, we know what we need. What is it that you can do, like when we hang up? What can you do today to begin to push into that fear and watch that thing die?
I definitely think the first thing that came to mind is I have a couple really good friends that probably I should just voice to them, like, hey, we should create kind of a support group together where, like, when something amazing happens, or, you know, you think of one another, like, let's just commit to sharing and saying, hey, you know what, man, just thought about you, want to let you know you're a badass, or hey, I saw your last post, way to go out and get it, man, super proud of you. And then in return, hopefully that comes back, I guess, you know what I mean? Like,
yep,
that love out of nowhere, start getting little hits of that.
Yep. I think that is, I heard you describe, what I want to do today is take the initiative to communicate to somebody else in my life that I care for deeply and let them know exactly what I need, so that I no longer have to be let down by unmet expectation when they don't actually know how to meet an expectation that I have, because I've never actually told them. And so if I were to tell them today what I need, how much more clear would our relationship be, and how much more easily would I be able to walk into and face fear, because I would be able to fully acknowledge where I'm at, how I feel, what I need, ask for that need to be met, and then to be able to live confidently moving forward.
That is spot on, my friend.
My man.
Yeah.
My man. All right. I appreciate you, dude. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate you.
Yeah. Yes, sir. We'll chat soon.
Yes.
All right.
I'll stay on and watch.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, man.
All right, friends. So anybody else that's out there, thank you for entertaining me and Scotty for a second, but anybody else that's out there, where you're at now, what is the fear you're facing? How does it feel? What do you need? And then what's one thing that you can do today? We're only at 12:30. We got a few more minutes. If anybody else, those of you that are joining us on Instagram, anybody else that wants to go live and chat about it, let's do that. We'd love to chat with you if you want to. Those of you that are on Facebook, we can't go live necessarily with you on Facebook, but you can throw some comments in there for us, and we can try to chat about that. if you want to chat about that as well. So let's give it a couple more minutes, see if anybody is willing to jump in or wants to have a dialogue. And if not, then we're going to wrap it up. Also, this is a non-promotional piece. Unless they pick it up and want to pay us, then they can. But anybody ever had Smart Water, the cucumber lime flavor? Yo, this stuff is just delicious. Smart Water, that'll cost you $4.23 for that ad placement. So anybody else? All right, so I want to remind you today, as you think about, as you face fear, one, address what is that fear. Identify what that fear is. What do you need to do? Here we go. Let's before we wrap it up. Kate said what she needs to do now is, you're welcome, Scotty. What she needs to do now is, I need to trust myself. I need to acknowledge that I am capable of making decisions that are the best. Yes, 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 you do. Write that down, put it in a note, put it on a sticky, put it on your mirror, circle it, highlight it, whatever you got to do to remind yourself of that. Remind yourself of that. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. And what I can do is acknowledge that out loud, how I talk to myself. Yes. Talk to myself like I talk to my friends. Let's go. You want to take this over? Okay. You want to just do the weekly rock next week? You're ready. And I want to acknowledge you publicly because we're here. Kate is somebody who is willing and has consistently been willing to put in the work. She's one of our coaching. She's in one of our coaching groups. And she shows up to this, and she's still answering questions, and she's putting in the work, committed to seeing herself and her life change. So proud of you, friend. Smitty, what's up? My man. Took you long enough. Anybody else? What is that fear? How do you feel? What do you need? And what can you do now? And then how can we support you in that? That's our goals. So if you're just joining us and you want to go back and you want to catch it as soon as we're done, we'll post this and we'll post it live to our Instagram, as well as it'll live out there on Facebook and YouTube. You can always check it out there. If you're not subscribed, we would love for you to subscribe there as well. But that's our hope for today. Our hope for today is to make sure that we have the ability to acknowledge what is our fear. How do we face that fear? What do we feel? What do we need? And what can we do now to move forward in our ability to bring that into the light, to have that kind of dialogue and to be able to push forward in that way with one another. So to all my friends who are out there on Facebook, thank you so much. As always, would love if you would like, comment, and or share. The only way people see this and know that it exists is because you talk about it and you share it. There's a really a phrase I use all the time because it just rings really true for me. And that's that you're never a prophet in your own hometown. So people only are going to trust me because they trust you, because they know you, because they don't know anything about me. I'm just a guy with a hat and big eyebrows. So I would love for you to do that and share that any way that you can. We would always greatly appreciate your support in that. Those of you that join us on Instagram, thank you so much. We'll be here every Friday at noon for the Weekly Rock. If there's anything else you can do, we can do to care for you or support you, please let us know. Don't hesitate to reach out at any point in time if there's anything that you think that you need that we can do for you. And then as always, if you're looking for that daily encouragement, motivation, and support, just shoot us a text message to the Daily Rock. Then text the phrase "I want to join" to the number 469-649-8441. All right. Again, to join the Daily Rock, that is just text the phone number 469-649-8441. We would love for you to join us there. For my gentlemen who are here with us, we also have, be looking at our Instagram every Wednesday. It's called Wiser Sons Wednesday. We would love for you to engage with us there. And every other Wednesday, we go live on Zoom from 8:30 until, well, we say 8:30 to 9:30, but we never get done before 10:30. So 8:30 to 10:30 every other Wednesday night. And we get together, and just sole purpose is to get together as dudes, have a place to land and say, where are we? How do we feel? And what you need. And we want to be able to support you in that. So thank you so much. I'm so glad you joined us. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And again, happy Juneteenth to everybody out there. If you're not sure what it is and you don't know what it means, it's your job and your responsibility. Do the work, do the research, look it up. And today, if you haven't yet, more than ever, support a Black-owned business. Buy a book, listen to their podcast, go to a restaurant, whatever that is, do what you can, because it'll be a statement that we stand by for as long as we're around. We deeply believe in that Black Lives Matter, to doing the work of being an anti-racist. And in that is a part of making sure that we have the ability to celebrate the things that matter. Love you guys. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.